Hi there everyone, my name's Jonathan, and today I'm just going to give you a quick tutorial on the transport layer in Unity. The transport layer is this low-level API that runs underneath all the other networking components Unity has. Everything the network manager does, like sync states and lobbies and all that sort of stuff, comes from this low-level API. By using the network transport layer, we get much more control over everything that's happening, but we also get a better understanding of how each individual part works. If you were to use the transport API completely on its own, you would have to program everything manually. Now, the network transport layer has a lot of features, a lot of things you can do with it. But all you really need is connect, disconnect, send, and receive. This is the bread and butter. This is everything you absolutely need. Now, this is an empty project aside from these two scripts. Now, that's just to start with. Let's just open up the server. We're going to add using, apparently I can't spell today, system text, as well as using Unity Engine networking. Now, in the start, we initialize the transport layer. You need to do this every time. Every time you're going to be using networking, you need to add this. From here, so from here, we add new connection config. Oh my god, I cannot type today. New connection config. And we add actually I forgot to do this, sorry. Just set up a few variables before we start, or before we get too deep into it. Reliable channel ID. Now, I'll explain why we need each of these when we get to them. Like, for example, right now. Now, each channel is how you send stuff to in between the server and the client. Well, how you just send it between hosts, really. Now, the quality of service type is how those messages get sent. So, reliable, as you can see, is guaranteed to be delivered, but not guaranteed to be in order, while reliable sequenced is guaranteed to be delivered and in order, while unreliable, no guarantee of delivery or ordering. We use reliable sequenced because it makes sense. It's not as fast as unreliable, but it gets the job done, and we don't really need speed for what we're doing here. Now, here we add the host, and host is misleading because it's not really a host. What you're doing here is you're opening a socket. And oops, I messed this up. Sorry. We need to add in a new topology. This is setting up how the host interacts with everyone else. New host topology, config max connections, and you can figure out what max connections does. It's how many people can connect to this host. Now we add null here, so that anyone can connect to the server. And then we just add a little debug log here. And there we go. We've now set up a server. From here, we can just copy all this and paste it over to the client. Now we still need to add using system.text and using Unity engine.networking. Now, instead of doing all this stuff here, like we did in the server, we're just going to copy and get rid of it. And then we're going to create a new function called connect, which sets all that up. So we open up a socket, and then from here we connect to that host. Now, so this is our host ID. This is the IP address of what we're trying to connect to. Now the IP address I put in is the local host, so that's my computer, or your computer. You're not connecting to anyone, you're connecting to yourself. You could also just write local host there, like so, but I prefer to write out the full address. And then the port that we're using, and the error. You can check that using a function, but I've never had a need to use that yet. And one other thing we're going to do here is another public void called disconnect. And this is really simple. Now, these are things you want for each client, but you don't really want the server to connect and disconnect to anyone. You want other people to connect to the server. So that's why we do it all here. Now, last thing we need is a way to send messages. Now, there's a reason. Now, the network transport has a send function, but you need to do a bunch of stuff in order to do that. So let's make a function to do it all for us. Now, we can only ever send byte arrays. So you will have to get your message in Unicode and get bytes. This converts the string. My God, I'm making a whole lot of errors today. So this converts the string into individual bytes, which is sent into this byte array, which we can then send. Host ID, connection ID, the channel that we're going to send it on, which is the reliable channel, the message itself. Now, here we put how large the message is. Now, you could just set that to 1024, which is the maximum size of anything you should be sending. But instead, we're going to do message.length multiplied by the size of character, because bytes aren't one. One character in a string is not equal to 1 byte, because computers. And then we add the out arrow, and we're done. So, let's just do something real quick. Let's create a new script called player. Yeah, reload all. Get rid of that. Let's just add a rigid body. My God, I'm making a whole bunch of errors. That's how you do that. Sorry about that. And then just get the component. Now, the other thing we're going to need here is a client. Because what we're going to do is we're going to send the inputs from this to the server. So, how do we do that? We'll just add float x movement equals input get axis horizontal, and then float input dot get axis vertical. And then just transform dot translate xmov 0. Ymov should really be zmov, but oh well. You can figure it out. Okay, so how we do this is if xmov is not equal to 0 or ymov is not equal to 0. This way we're not sending messages all the time, we're only sending them when we're actually putting in some inputs. String message equals move plus xmov to string, because we need to send it as a string, plus another one of these, and again I will explain this later, but long story short, we're putting these in so we can separate the string later into each of these individual numbers. And then we just go client, send message, MSG. There we go. And I'm just gonna make this public. Now, on the server side, we need to set up how to receive messages. And this is a fair bit of setup. So we need the receiving host ID, the receiving connection ID, and receiving channel ID, so we know which channel is sending it on. Another byte array called receive buffer, so we can store everything that's being sent to us. We're going to set that to 1024 because that's the largest anything should be. And buffer size again 1024, and data size. Now network event type receive network event, so something is being sent, and then network transport receive, and then we output whatever it's sending. Hold up, that was my mistake. Connection ID, channel ID, buffer size. We output how big it is, and we output the error in case something happens. Oh, got out. There we go. Now what we do here is we set up a switch for this network event. And then case network event type connect event break case network event type data event. Now for case, for a for a switch, you always need to break after each case, so that's why I'm just setting all that up now. Network event type, disconnect event, break, and finally, network event type, nothing. These are the 4 main ones you need. However, we don't really need to be doing anything with nothing. On the server, we do need to do stuff whenever something connects or disconnects. So let's just start with, identifying the message that was sent. Piss off Windows. So, first thing we do is a string. Well, we get a string. Coding. Unicode. Get string from whatever it is that was just sent. And then from here, we output a debug log just so that we can see what the message was. Now, remember those lines I put in? Well, now we actually use them. This will split it up into an array based on those lines. Oh, whoops. Hold up. Didn't need to add those yet. So what we do now is we set up another switch based on the split data. And each case is whatever the first set of data is inside of this, inside of the split data. So, in the case of move, we go I just realized I forgot to set something up, just real quick. We need a list of game objects called players. Now, we have a new list here, but we need to actually add people to that list, so real quick, I actually should have done this first, but oh well. We go, actually that's another thing we need. We need a we need a server-side representation of the player to actually do any of this, so we set up a so that when we instantiate a player, once they connect, we can quickly store that. Let's on the position. This, you can set this up to whatever a spawn position would be, but for now we'll just use wherever the server is, which should be 000. So then we go players, add temp. Now, here you go. We'll actually set up a function called move, which takes float x, float y, and a game object. So then in move, if we go split data 1, split data 2, Players receiving connection ID. And these actually strings, not floats. My mistake. There we go. And lastly, put that there. So what we do here, xmov equals float pass x. Pass y. And yu. There we go. So then, obj transform translate x0 y. Okay, slide screw up there, xmov and ymov, not x and y, because I'm an idiot. There we go. And that should be everything. Yep, so now if we go back into Unity and just real quickly create an empty, add server to it, create a plane, there we go. Just scale it up a bit, didn't need to scale along the Y. And then just add a cube. And this can be our player. Let's just drag into there. And save the scene as server. And then save scene. Actually, no, we go to this game object, remove that component, delete the cube actually because we don't need that anymore, and then we add client. Where is it? Drag play on. This game audio now is the client, so we just add it to there. Save scene as client. And just reopen the server quickly. Delete that. Save. Now, build. We add the client to here. Just build it out. Just build. We don't need any clever names here. We just need to get this done. And then we should be able to just run it, and the client should transfer everything onto the server. So, now that's done. Let's see where I screwed up. Okay. Build out. Let's just windowed play. Oh, wait, right, I forgot. There's something else we need to do. Build settings, player settings, on and background. You should always add that. Now just build it out again. Replace the old one. Close, play. Now open this again, build, play, Oh, wait, that's the other thing I forgot to do just real quick. Actually add a way for you to connect. So just create a canvas, and then a button. Where's that? Just closed. Yeah, that's in the center of the screen, that's fine. Button. Just change text to... Actually, we don't need to change that. Connect. Go into the button. Add an on-click event for the... And then we call connect. There we go. Build it out again. I have a really bad habit of just making a bunch of really small errors that altogether screw everything up. Now we jump back to the server, hit play, start this, connect. Huh. Hold up. So, me being an idiot, forgot to actually define the server port up here, so... Honestly, the actual port doesn't really matter as long as it's not being used. So, 8888 is what we're using, so we need to add that to the client and the server. That was my mistake. I am very sorry about that. So, let's build it out again. And now, we should see something spawn over here. Or not. So once again, I made a few small errors which resulted in it not working. So first thing you need to do is change the list from earlier into a dictionary, and make sure to initialize it here. Make sure you're still spawning everything. And I believe I changed something here. Oh no, maybe I didn't. Right. Make that public and assign the client to make sure that it actually can reference the client. And yeah, that should be it. So if I open this up, just make sure to build it out again before you try this. And we hit connect. And would you look at that? We have a game object that's now moving around. And yeah, that's the very basics. The basics of basics of using the transport layer. I mean, that was only, what, 30 minutes or so? Now, what you do from here is, whatever you're doing with the client, you save it to a string defining what it is you want to do, plus the data that you need. Encode it like this into a byte array, and then send it to the server for it to interpret. That's the TLDR. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're feeling really generous, support my Patreon, follow me on Twitter, and I will see you in the next video.